What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. We're here, it's happening. So as usual, we'll look at the question of the day and then however I can help, get your questions ready, whatever I can give some perspective, advice. What do people want to talk about today? YouTube intro? What to do in your, so we're talking YouTube today? Okay, so YouTube intro, what should be in your YouTube intro? The most important thing with YouTube is you need to be able to hook their attention early, right? So I think one of the biggest problems that people have in their intros is you're saying, hey guys, welcome back. It's me, happy Thursday. Wow, what a week, which is great for a live, like for this, it's great. How did I start this? It's great. Welcome back, guys. Zane's talking about Trenton. We're holding down the fort. Like community building is great when you've got a community, but when it's YouTube, it sucks. On the replay, if I were to upload this video, people would be like, what is this garbage at the beginning? Let's come on, get to the good stuff. Carmichael, this is a waste of my time right now. And you need to be thinking your videos are going to people who don't know who you are, right? If you're only talking to your current subscribers, you stay stuck. Where the goal needs to be, they don't know who you are. They've never seen you before. This is their entry into your world. And so it's good when you're talking to mostly new people. So how you start a video really depends on if it's going to be you by yourself or it's going to be you with somebody else. Because when it's you by yourself, you're in control. You can control the whole thing. When it's you with somebody else, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So I show up here, I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully I get asked a question or two and we have a good time. But it's based off of, what you guys need. When it's by yourself, you can do whatever you want. So the best thing to do is lead with a powerful opinion. Like, what do you believe that other people don't believe? What does Mark believe about productivity? What does Rick believe about passing the driving test? Or what does Andrew believe about YouTube? Or what does Zane believe about confidence? Or John believe about saving money and investing? Or Posh about, your unbreakable stories? Like, what do you believe that other people don't believe? And that's the first thing out of your mouth. The woman's channel we were looking at this morning, she asked a question. So do you want to learn how to XYZ? Because in today's video, I'm going to show you, which is okay. It's better than nothing, but better than asking a question is making me think with a powerful statement. You've said something that makes me pause to say, wait, what did he just say? What did she just say? That's the best way to start a video. If you are in control, like if it's just you. When you've got somebody else, you don't know how it's going to start. If I'm going to interview Mark and we're going to talk about productivity secrets or poems or whatever we're going to talk about, I don't know where it's going to go. Like I have a general direction of what we were going to talk about, but I don't know what Mark's going to say. And I don't know where the fire comments are going to come out. So the beginning has to be, here's Mark Elwood and here's how I know him. I've known him for over a decade and maybe telling a story or two and, building up who Mark is and why he's here. And then we get into the topic and 5 minutes in, 7 minutes in, 15 minutes in, Mark's going to drop some gold nuggets. Take those bits and you put them to the beginning of the video, right? So you have your 15 to 30 seconds of coming ups to hook people in to want to watch. And it's the same thing when you're doing coaching. So interviews are coaching. If Zane's doing a coaching session or Bonnie's doing a coaching session and they're going to record it and then put it to their YouTube channels. Zane's doing his live streams, and that's also involving other people where he brings people on. He's like, hey, join me live. And he sends you the link and you could join Zane live on his sessions. If he's going to edit those for YouTube, then taking those highlight moments, because Zane doesn't know what's going to happen. You're waiting. You're counter punching. You're waiting for somebody else to say something so then you can react to it and share your advice and knowledge. Cut those moments, put that at the beginning. So when it's you're in control. Make it powerful. Out of the gate, powerful sentence, right away, hook me in, make me want to watch. When you're not in control because you have a guest and you do coming ups at the beginning. And the beautiful part about YouTube, but all social platforms, but especially YouTube, is the data is so good at the beginning, it'll show you. So when people ask me, what do you think about my beginning? Well, I don't know, let's look at the data. Let's see what's actually happening. Are people tuning out or not? So it's not just my subjective opinion. I could tell Rick, I hate your intro. It sucks, man. But maybe he's like, no, but let's look at the data. Look, I'm crushing it. Okay, great. Right? Like the data will show you how well you're doing and will show you where you need to improve. But having that first minute really count. Again, we aim for 70% at 1 minute. It's an impossible metric to hit consistently. Impossible. Nobody does it. But if you can, those videos will pop. So that's the aspirational target. 70% of the people who started watching a video are still there 1 minute later. Doesn't seem like that's that hard. It's incredibly hard. You know, like I've looked at channels at 20% at 1 minute. Like everybody just bailed at the beginning. Not because they're not an expert or they don't know what they're doing. It's just because the beginning is not designed to hook people in and it's too boring. Anyway, so that's my little rant on that topic. Now we're here. Andrew's looking extra buff today. He's been doing some working out. I don't know what's going on there. I like it. You guys have questions? How can I help? How can I serve? What do you got? What's on your mind? Again, quickly, we created this group for people who bought the book because I want the book to be something that you live and breathe and is part of your life, not just something that sits on the shelf. So whether it's me or Zan, however we can bring the most value. Bonnie's got her hand up. Bonnie Rose, AKA Posh. What do you got?
Okay, so we talked the other day about video DMing people. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing my research and I'm basically doing the hashtag research right now and looking for people who are, like you said, publicly talking about anxiety. And I keep freezing. And I realized what my fear is a lot of these people speak up on like other people's posts, or like they'll comment on somebody's post. And I think my fear is that because these people aren't necessarily posting themselves about anxiety, that they're going to realize that their comments, even though people know Instagram is public, they're going to realize that their comments are being seen by maybe people they weren't expecting them to be. And by me reaching out, I'm worried I'm going to send some of those people kind of back into hiding where they're not going to speak up about anxiety anymore. And that's a really kind of dangerous place to be. So that's where my fear is. And I'm not sure if that's rational or irrational or what, but that's where I'm kind of stuck right now, to be honest with you. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that and some advice if you have it.
Yep. So just for context for everybody watching, Bonnie's looking to do a new show where she's coaching people through anxiety. And the advice I gave her while she was on, I think my gaming channel, was, okay, 50 people a day, 25 people from people who are already following you and saying, hey, I'm starting this new show about anxiety. If you want me to coach you for free, come on board. Let me know. My next spot is tomorrow at 2:00. Whatever works, but you're DMing people. And then talk about people or DM people who are talking about anxiety publicly already using the hashtags and reaching out to them. There's always, so Bonnie, to now get to your question, you're partially right. Like the fear is not completely illegitimate. It's not most of it, but really it's the biggest fear is you just being afraid of doing it and rejection and what people are going to say. But there is a risk that you could send people further down into anxiety and not want to post again. But the question to then ask is, well, could you combat that by how you show up? So in the actual message that you send, if that is what is a potential outcome, then how does it change how you show up? How does it change what's in the message yourself? So if you don't make them feel judged, then they won't feel judged, right? Like if you started your DM and say, hey, I'm Bonnie. I help people with anxiety. And first off, I saw your post and I just want to celebrate you and honor you because holy cows, it's so hard to admit to yourself, let alone the world, about how you could have anxiety. I'm reaching out to you because I was inspired by your post. And I'm also doing a show where I help people with anxiety. I coach people that they pay for, but I'm doing a show for free. If you want some free coaching, I have a few ideas for you that I think could help. That if you want, let me know. Super interested to have you on. And if not, just sending you tons of love and keep posting, keep sharing, and know that you're not alone.
Okay, I love that. I was looking at the script. Well, I went back and rewatched the live from the other night and kind of wrote my notes and everything. And I love that approach to me because I want to try to offer them also the option. So I'm also doing like a free session, like an intro session for people to get them into my coaching programs, but a free session to kind of evaluate where people are, what do they need, how can I help them kind of thing. So I also wanted to kind of offer that option.
I would keep it simple and only have one offer.
Okay.
So you're gonna honor them, celebrate them, recognize them, show that they're courageous. Basically, giving a message that would for the person who wants to run and hide that you led with, that you're afraid might retreat. You're giving them extra love and celebrating them. Then you give them one option. Here's what I would love to do for you. And then in the back and forth, like most people still won't even see it or may ignore it or whatever, right? But some people might say, if you're going to lead with a show, some people might say, oh, I don't want it to be public. I'm still working through it. Then you follow up and say, hey, well, you know what? I'm just really inspired by you. I'd love to, why don't we just do it privately then for free? Just me helping you. No problem. Right. So it's like in the back and forth that you can have a different, more customized option, but you lead in with one. Because if you're leading with multiple things, giving people options then creates confusion and reduces, it just adds more friction to them actually having momentum. So like, here's the thing that I'd love to do with you. And if they come back, then you give them something else.
Okay. All right. That's out. Sebastian. Sorry. Thank you.
Much love, Sebastian, too. Don't hit your mom with Nerf guns. Come on. All right. I see Rick's got his hand up. What do you got, man?
Just tacking on to what you were talking about YouTube intros. Yeah. I've, in the last couple of years, 18 months, I guess, I've gone to 20 seconds on my intro. And I just did a video 2 weeks ago where I said, what's the similarity? What do dead horses, jet airplanes, and merging onto a highway have in common? We asked that weird question, right? Which kind of hooks people and moves people on into the video. But I don't even introduce myself anymore in my videos. I just have a little scroll out thing that comes across that has my name and my company on it. So I've kept it very short. And I find intros the hardest now on my YouTube videos. So the question I have, Evan, is about something completely different. The question I have is, I've come up with a defensive driving model that I want to market. And actually your book stuff, writing a book right now, is really timely because there's a defensive driving model that's out there currently that's kind of, it's kind of like Microsoft in the computer world. Everybody uses a Smith-based cushion system, but I have a new model that's a better model, a more comprehensive model. Where would you suggest I get started in marketing this?
Is it something that people can do online, or they have to be with somebody in a car?
They can do both. I can do it either online as an online defensive driving course, or it can have a practical application where somebody, say a manager in a trucking company, goes in the truck with one of their drivers that they're having problems with, and they can teach it to the driver in the truck.
Where is it mandatory? It's like, where is it actually a pain? So I think about like when you want to pass a driving test, it's a big pain. Like I want to be able to drive my car, so I have to go do this thing. Nobody actually wants to take your training, right? But they have to pass the test, right? So nobody wants to learn how to do defensive driving. So when are they forced to?
In some states, they're forced to if they get a speeding ticket or a driving infraction. They're required to do it in mostly the biggest customer would be truck driving companies that are required to do training for their drivers.
So that's where you start. How can you, so where are they going now? The truck driving companies, where are they going now? How can you not just give them better training? Because as much as they say they care, they probably don't even care that much about the training. They just want to get their drivers back on the road, doing their thing, and not having it be a big operational headache for them to get their drivers into training. So go solve that problem for the trucking companies to get their drivers out there faster, give it to them at an affordable rate, and make the process seamless for them to get in. Like, how do people onboard into your training and get back out onto the road as soon as possible?
Yep.
They're using somebody else right now. You got to make it so much better that they're going to want to work with you instead. I wouldn't even worry about a YouTube strategy yet. I wouldn't worry about going to the masses yet. Just work with the trucking companies. If it's state by state, maybe there's different rules or different, great. But like wherever it's, because that's a pain. If truck companies do not have their drivers out on the road, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You solve that problem.
Well, I have a big client in the States right now, and this is where this has kind of come from. They've got me to do defensive driving videos for them, and they wanted me to do something with the existing model, and I said, listen, I have a better system.
Right. So make it work for them
and easier to understand.
Right. But again, what do they care about? All they care about is their drivers on the road.
Oh, you said exactly what they said to me yesterday. They said the company right now can pay a bit of money, get the training done, and send their drivers back out on the road. And that's exactly what I need to do is I need to say, my product's better, easier, and I'll make it more seamless for you.
Yep. The PR side is going to be, this is way better for our drivers and we care about their education and all that stuff. But really, the person who's signing the check for you, all they care about is like, get my driver on the road as soon as possible. I don't even care if you learn anything or not. I just want them to get on the road and not get suspended again.
Yeah.
Right. That's all the person who's signing the check for you, that's what they care about. So we're solving and obviously you're going to care about the driver and care about them actually going through the course and making it as accessible as possible. But they don't really, your client doesn't really care about that. So right. You make it work with this one company, and then you go and you ask for referrals from them to other trucking companies. You can message trucking companies directly, and you look at any of the associations for trucking companies that you can be a part of, whether that's on a national level, whether that's on a state level, to get into using your program for defensive driving.
And it actually worked out because I can go down and actually do a presentation because I'm going down to the People of Video conference. Mm-hmm. So I can go to Philadelphia and do a presentation directly for them, which will work out.
And this is as much as I love YouTube, and I know you've got your channel's growing, but it's not a YouTube strategy. No. Not yet.
No,
this is just, your audience, they've got a big problem. They'll pay you to solve it. You go out and you become the defensive driving for truckers around America. And then maybe that evolves to YouTube content and the average American, all that stuff. But
well, I think this is kind of a backwards approach. I think this is a PowerPoint presentation, a handout, a book, and then a YouTube channel is how I think it's going to work.
Yeah, honestly, it's just relationships.
Yeah.
It's just relationships. Like this company came to you because you knew them. Great. You're going to work with them. And then you get referrals. You may not even need to do a formal presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just relationships.
It just worked out that I'm going to be down there.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-hour drive from New York City. So
it's more about taking the meeting and understanding, like making it more a consultative sales process that you actually understand them.
Yeah.
And that you're solving, like they don't actually care about this. You're just solving a big pain for them. They just want this thing to go away and you're here to help.
Yes.
And like, they don't care who does it, you, somebody else, as long as it's cost effective and it works. Yeah. Great. Like you just make their life easier. That I would be shocked if they were ecstatic about their current defensive driving provider. Right.
They're not.
But I'd be shocked if any of them were like, no, Rick, I just love our guy so much. And he saves us so much time that like, you have no shot. Right. It's like, it's probably the guy's just good enough. Right. So if you come in and you actually care about it, that's why I don't think you will even need a big on presentation. Just go and talk to them, show the love, show the care, show what you've done, show how you can help. Relatively easy to go get clients.
Perfect. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. You got it, man. Trenton Jones, round 2. What do you got, man?
So real fast, I remember last week I was talking to Zan. This individual reached out to me about helping create a coaching program of how to be like a consultant. And they wanted me to kind of basically spearhead that particular project. And that's like the thing that I say yes to. But right now, currently, the biggest problem that I'm facing is imposter syndrome. I know that we talked about it before. So like, how would you like, and it's not just me, it's also like for the people that's going through our program, like the main theme or the main concept is like, how do you tackle imposter syndrome when like, you don't know necessarily like you've done this before, or like you got your reps in, because some people feel like, oh, they have the technical knowledge of how to do X, Y, and Z, but like, they don't know how to like pull the punch and say go, like just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, with the way your mind works, the way you should do it is around modeling success. that you haven't done it, but you're going to go model everybody else who has. So you don't go in and say, I've done this and I know how to do it. Like Rick talking about driving. Rick's got a really good track record on helping people with driving. Now, maybe not as much defensive driving, but passing tests and everything else. He's got a big track record behind there. So he's got the reputation. If you don't have it, you don't pretend like you do and say, well, I've launched all of these courses and funnels and I'm an expert, right? So that's not the lead in. The lead in is going to be, I'm going to model everybody who's done it and take the best from what they've all done to help you grow yours.
Okay. Hey, here's a tip from an experienced consultant that I've worked with, the likes of PwC. Start with a statement of work. What is it you're going to do for them very specifically? And then what are the deliverables? What will you give them by the end of this consulting project? That'll get you real far.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
So part of it is going to be looking at who are their biggest competitors right now. Mm-hmm. And who can we look to for inspiration? So if we're going to reverse engineer this for Rick, people are already doing defensive driving courses for the trucking companies, right? Like there's got to be lots of providers out there. They may not be doing it well. They may not be best of class. I mean, nobody might be an inspiration for it, but there's lots of competition who's already doing it. So step one is to identify who are the competition and what are they doing? How are they doing it? How are they promoting it? What's part of their material? What's their onboarding? Like as much detail as you can in what they're doing. Then we look at, okay, since there's no best in class right now for defensive driving, probably, I mean, I'm making a big assumption, but probably, then who we're going to learn from who's doing training on a really best in class way that we can model. So maybe you're going to go learn from what Tony Robbins did for his live training, or we're going to learn what some other giant company is doing for their training. Like we're pulling from different industries. And why I'm suggesting this for you, because your mind you pick up on these things and see connections that other people can't see. You love dissecting the strategy and be able to pull those things apart that somebody else won't put in the time to do and won't make the connections as well as you can. So you can look at how Oprah launched her book and tie that into training for funnels. Right? Like you'll see those random connections that other people don't see. So that's where I think you could really shine. So the competitive analysis is easy enough to do. It's not a commodity, but a lot of people could do it, but it's good to know kind of where you're starting from. Mm-hmm. But the modeling success from different industries, what can you take from Evan Carmichael or Oprah or PwC or Mark Elwood or whoever that has worked that then you're going to see it in a new way to bring it to this industry. And that's what you say you're great at. And you're going to figure it out. Not that you've launched 10 of these things before and you're going to sit on that experience.
I love that. Love that. Thanks.
Jose's got his hand up. What do you got, man?
How you doing? How's everyone doing? I just had a quick question. I joined in a few minutes late, so I don't know what you guys started on, but I wanted to know if you had any advice on crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding really becomes a PR game. So people look at Kickstarter and the different networks, or now they're going NFTs for crowdfunding. In order to get on the Kickstarter page, you have to do a lot of promotion before Kickstarter starts promoting you. Is that where you're looking? Or you're looking at a different network or NFTs or what?
I understand that is probably going to be, organic, within my sphere of influence. I just wanted to see, I've been doing a bunch of research on it. I'm getting ready to activate my campaign. And I just wanted to see any nuggets that you might have based on experience for yourself or other people.
Oh, are you just trying to raise money from your friends and family, or are you actually trying to put it out?
Yeah, I expect that's what's going to be the case.
Great. Okay. So then in that case, here's what you need to figure out. Because I used to be in the angel and VC investing, and we saw so many bad deals come in because of poor structure when they brought angels on, and you could really destroy your company and make it impossible to get future funding if you have bad angel rounds and you don't own enough of the business or you have the wrong people in. No future investor wants to come in and kick out current investors. They want the money to go to growth, not to buy out some other investor. So you need to think about, are the people coming in, are they able to contribute anything to the business, right? Do you even want them? Like, do you want your Uncle Joe to be a part of your business that you have to then sit around the Thanksgiving table with, and he's like diving in to say, Jose, what's going on? Why is it not working? Right? Like a lot of people, could give you money, but it's not smart money. And a lot of times it's actually negative money because now there's pressure at family events to sit and talk to them about, the business instead of actually just enjoying each other's company. So are they going to give you?
Let me have a little bit of context. My wife and I, we have a live cooking show. We already wrapped season 1 last spring, and we're about to launch season 2. Yep. So this is specifically going to be to help offset the cost of doing season 2. Yeah. It's in that space.
Great. I mean, so the space doesn't matter as much as who you're bringing in.
Got it.
So as much as possible, I would try to tie it just to season 2, not to the whole business, because you want to take it somewhere else and it's going to be harder. You want people who are going to contribute more than just money, but they're going to volunteer. They're going to show up and help film. They're going to help promote it. They've got some connections. Like they're going to be more invested than just dumb money. The amount of businesses that we couldn't fund in VC land because they had dentists and doctors as angel investors who own significant portions of the company, that then it was a great company, but the owner didn't have enough and they had a bunch of investors who couldn't contribute anything. It seems so many deals sink before they even got started. So having somebody who can actually help the business somehow grow, and also just personally, if you take money from this person, is that going to cause a rift in your relationship? Or are they going to be wanting to have a role that is too, like, is someone going to want to have input now in the creativity of what goes into the show just because they're an investor? Having those like, no, you don't get creative control. It's my show with my wife. This, you're not right. Just having that be clear up front, and the relatives and friends who you get along with and the ones who are going to be problematic. And it can be really tempting when somebody brings a bag of cash to just say yes, but that could be, the worst decision you make if you bring on the wrong person. So tying it to just a show like season 2, bringing on people who can contribute more than just money, and anybody you see as a problem going in, like, just don't say yes to that. Don't say yes to that money. It'll be a huge mistake.
All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Cool, man. If you want to get a copy of Built to Serve and join us live for our next training with me to ask your questions, you can go get the book right there next to me, right there. I'll see you there. I'll see you to get the book. It's a good one. Much love.